Greetings, salutations, Barshindetier. However you say it in your neck of the woods, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Le Art of Reading Price Action. Again, welcome to another episode of The Art of Reading Price Action. I am your host, Timothy Lee Rogers Sr., aka Araña Grande. For those who don't hablo español, that is Big Spider. You hear me? And in this episode of The Art of Reading Price Action, we will be discussing the mitigation block. Now, before we get into it, again, for those who've been asking, we're on week 12 now, so, still got some new people coming around and picking up on the mentorship or picking up on the channel. You can join the mentorship by clicking on the join link there. All of the videos in the mentorship series are going to be for free on Al Gore's internet here on the tube. What the $24.99 per month mentorship gets you is access to me for my time. What does that get you? It gets you access to the Q&As. The first Sunday of every month at 7 p.m. is for Black Spiders, Gold members, and the mentees has access to it. The second Sunday is dedicated specifically for the mentees. And then the third Sunday, the mentees has access to it also, and that's for the Black Spiders and the mentees. We also do weekly homework review on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. That's what the $24.99 a month gets you. It's self-directed, meaning I don't put you in, I don't take you out. You click the join button, you sign up here on YouTube. Make sure you pick the tier that says Mentee. Once you're in, go to the membership section here on YouTube on the community tab and make sure you sign up for the Discord. Accept the Discord link so that you can pull up on all of the pop-ups and the homework reviews. Now, without further ado, let's get into Le Art of Reading Price Action, the mitigation blocks. Turn your attention over there. Mitigation blocks. What are they? Again, I call them institutional reference points, just like the breakers. Now, bear in mind, the mitigation blocks and the breakers are very, very similar. There's one slight difference in the mitigation blocks and breakers. See if you can figure it out before I tell you. Now, let's get into mitigation blocks. Mitigation blocks. How do we use them? What are we doing? What do we look? Tim, what's going on? The mitigation block forms when the market is giving you a clear indication of what it want to do. Do it want to go up? Do it want to go down? And the way the mitigation block is used is that the market is showing you, as Michael says in his teachings, that it's showing you that it wants to move in a step ladder manner, meaning you're not just rocketing up or rocketing down. You're moving in a step ladder manner. You're going up, down, up, down. What does this mean? Moving in a step ladder manner, the up, down, up, down. You may hear people saying, sell the rallies. You're selling the rallies. You may hear people say, buy the dip. And some people also say, sell the rip. Buy the dip and sell the rip. So you're buying the dip in bullish conditions and you're selling the rip in bearish conditions, right? That's just not the gist of it, but that's what the step ladder theory, how it plays out in my mind, right? And when you see the mitigation block forming, that's the market showing you or confirming to you the willingness to reverse, right? Now, here's a pro tip. Mitigation blocks are the strongest from my back testing, right? Mitigation blocks are the strongest when SMT is present. What in the new word is that? SMT? Have we discussed SMT before? You seem shocked. Well, like Jolly Pies, if we haven't discussed SMT. Why don't we discuss SMT for a moment if we haven't? What is SMT? SMT is a term coined by Michael, right? He haven't given it an official name, but he says smart money technique. Sometimes he says smart money tool. Either way, it's the smart money, the algorithm tipping its hand on what it wants to do, right? And in this case, it's shown through divergence, right? So when you have correlated assets that don't make lower lows together, this is called bullish divergence, right? So when correlated assets like the Dow, the NQ, and the ES, as you see here, they're not making lower lows together, right? The Dow is making a lower low, the ES is making a lower low, but the NQ is making a higher low. This is a bullish SMT. This is an SMT. Right now, just like any other technique or concept that Michael teaches, it don't just look for it everywhere. It has to be at your anticipatory reactionary point. Okay? And then on the flip side, when correlated assets don't make higher highs together, this is called bearish divergence. So that'll be a bearish SMT over here. And it also works for inversely correlated assets like the dollar and the euro dollar if they're moving in the same direction, meaning making higher highs together, right? That's divergence. Let's get into the mitigation block, shall we? Remember when I told you the mitigation block and the breaker were very similar? Just the only thing you got to remember for the mitigation block, this makes it very simple in my mind, is remember that for the mitigation block, the only difference between it and the breaker is that when you, from the A to B leg, when you go to the B leg, it doesn't take the liquidity. So B does not break the high or low or of A. So it's a failure swing. You have a failure swing on the A to B leg before coming back down. That's how you can always easily identify the difference between the mitigation block or breaker. You have a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Whereas the breaker would be a high, a low, a higher high, and a lower low. That's the difference. And then in the bearish, it'll be, the reverse, right? It'll be the reverse. You'll have a low, a high, a higher low, and then a higher high in the reverse if you flip it on his head. Now, let's get into how little Timmy Rogers sees it in his head. Price sets a high, right, at A, there. Price pulls back and makes a low at B. Price rallies, but the high at C does not break the high at A. The letters were different on the other slide, but you get the gist of it. Does not break the high, does not take the liquidity, right? Then price drops down, taking out the sell side, creating a break in market structure, thus qualifying this as the mitigation block, right? The area from B to C, this area in here, that's your mitigation block. And you focus, just like on the breaker block, you focus on the last down close candle in the A to B leg, or it'll be the last up close candle in the A to B legs. Now, the lettering was different on the prior slide, right? The lettering was different on the prior slide. It would just be at A. There's no A to B leg on this lettering, but it'll be right there at the A. Then you just have A, B, and C. But this right here from A to B, that would be your mitigation block in that area. Didn't want to confuse you with the different lettering of the slides, because this is straight off Michael's slide and this is my interpretation of it. This is Michael's slide too, but this is my interpretation of it. I wrote these letters in myself. Okay, didn't want to confuse you, just want to clear that up, if you will. Now let's jump into some chart examples here. Here we are. This right here is an example of a bearish mitigation block. Okay, like I told you, we're looking for these to happen at an anticipatory reactionary point. In this case, we're looking at an old prior high, right? Price comes up into the prior high, right? Consolidates there for a while after taking out the buy side, and then displaces away, right? Creating a low. That's your A to B, right? Then price rallies, creating a high. That's C, but the high is lower than the high that was made here at A. And then price drops again, creating a break in market structure, therefore giving us a bearish mitigation block. The last down close candle and the price leg from A to B is your bearish mitigation block. Now, if it's consecutive candles, just like in breakers, the consecutive candles will be the entire mitigation block, but we put our focus, more of the focus on the last down close candle. Okay? Now, and when price rallies back into the mitigation block, back up into that break in market structure, that's an area where a short can be considered if the narrative has not changed. And as you see, we have not reached the sell side liquidity in this case. So when price rallies back up, it's a good opportunity to get short, to come back down and take out the sell side liquidity. Now, let's look at a bullish example. Again, we are here looking at an anticipatory reactionary point, right? Again, this one is, we're looking at a low, a swing low in this case. Price comes down to the swing low, that's A, and price rallies up, creating a high at B. Price falls down again, retraces, if you will, and creates a low at C. But that low does not take out the low that was created at A. And then price rallies again, giving us a break in market structure. That gives us our bullish mitigation block. Again, consecutive candles will be the entire mitigation block, but we put the focus on the last up close candle from the A to B leg, and as price returns back to that last up close candle, that's our entry for our bullish mitigation block. And with that, that brings us to the homework. But guess what? There's no homework this week because mitigation blocks are very similar to breaker blocks. So I decided to give you a little time off, if you will. Now, feel free to go back through your charts and do the same thing that you did with the breaker exercise. But happy weekend off. I still will see you Wednesday night for a homework review. Even though you don't have any homework, I still will pull up at 7 this Wednesday at 7 p.m. just to see if anyone has any questions about any of the homework throughout the series now, because we've been having a few new members and I want to give everybody an opportunity to ask their questions related to the home of the work. Now, with that, that brings us to the end of another episode of The Art of Reading Price Action. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in and supporting the channel. If you are getting anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share this with all of your friends, if you will. It's your boy, Aranya Grande, aka Big Spider, for those who don't hablo español. Y'all be safe out in these trade streets, man. Gone. Yeah.